In the animal kingdom, where the law of survival of the fittest drives fierce competition, a creature that loses interest in daily life, has no desire to hunt, prefers to be alone, and even loses its appetite or sexual drive, would be unable to survive or reproduce. So, from an evolutionary standpoint, depression seems like a paradox. That's why many people consider depression to be a modern mental illness, a product of contemporary society. However, this view began to shift thanks to two scientists, Paul Andrews and J. Anderson Thomson. According to a paper they published in Psychological Review, depression is not a mental disorder, but rather a survival mechanism that has helped humans adapt to their environments over hundreds of thousands of years. When their argument is combined with subsequent research, the picture becomes clearer. Studies show that 30% to 50% of people worldwide experience serious depression at least once in their lifetime. This is a much higher rate than for most other mental disorders. If depression truly interfered with survival and reproduction, its prevalence should be significantly lower. Furthermore, symptoms of depression are observed even among the Ake people of Paraguay, who live in tight-knit communities, and the Kung people of southern Africa, who live in ways similar to early human societies. This suggests that depression isn't just a byproduct of modern life. There's also a receptor in the brain called 5-HT1A. Mice with fewer of these receptors show fewer symptoms of depression. Antidepressants prescribed to patients often target this receptor to improve symptoms. This implies that the receptor exists, at least in part, to enable depressive responses. In other words, it may have been passed down through natural selection for a reason. So, how could depression possibly be helpful enough to be considered an adaptive mechanism? When someone is in a depressed state, they often lose interest in everything else and become deeply self-reflective. Research shows that this kind of introspection, free from external distractions, can enhance analytical thinking and help solve complex problems. In fact, in one study, people who experienced more depressive symptoms scored higher. When solving difficult math problems, to stay focused on a single issue and block out distractions, neurons in the ventrolateral prefrontal cortex must work continuously. The 5-HT1A receptor helps support this neural activity. Other common symptoms of depression: wanting to be alone, loss of appetite, and loss of sexual desire also serve to minimize outside stimuli, allowing deeper focus on the problem at hand. For instance, imagine a woman with children who finds out her husband is having an affair. Should she ignore it? Should she confront him and demand he choose between her and the other woman? What happens if he leaves show? Will she raise the children? Who will hunt or provide? Studies show that people in a depressed state were better able to navigate such complex social dilemmas. These kinds of findings are prompting a reevaluation of how we view depression. When society treats depression solely as a mental illness, it places the blame on the individual, making them feel as though something is wrong with them. This often leads to guilt, and as a result, about 80% of people with depression don't seek help due to feelings of shame. Is it really right for society to say that being unhappy means something is wrong with you? Is it right to label depression as simply a mental illness? A few months ago, I went through a deep period of depression myself. During those months, I thought about everything under the sun. In the process, I not only identified the root of my own issues, but I also felt like I gained insight into the truth of the universe. What I want to say in this video is not that depression is a trivial emotion, or that people don't need help from doctors. Rather, if our society could shift its perspective, if we could recognize depression as a natural physical response to help solve complex problems that might offer real comfort and support to many people struggling with depression today,